Well, good evening, everybody. How's it going on this Sunday evening? Let me get settled in here. Yeah, we've got the dark stage now, don't we? It's like, and this is the last place to get dark. So you guys are already there. The getting dark too soon season, isn't it? Well, we'll here we are, winter time. I guess is I've got a little bit of light coming through the window there, but not much. So good to have you guys with us this evening. We're going to talk about something that, well, I thought, and by the way, I've got a new mic, a new audio configuration thing going here. Is the sound okay? Would you guys just hit me back that the sound is doing all right and you can hear me okay? I would appreciate that very much. It looks dark back there, doesn't it? Now we'll have to work on that. I'm not used to doing it so much in the dark. Maybe if I turn that light off right there, it would be better. But we'll get through tonight. It looks all right. So just make sure that the audio is okay. So yeah, we're going to talk tonight about kind of how we're going to frame up for what's going to be. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. Looks cozy. It is cozy. It's very cozy. It's very nice. I'm grateful every day. Okay, good. Thanks, you guys. So let me just catch up. Oh, Kristen made it. Wow. Okay, good. Cool. Glad you were here. I thought you were going to be. Kristen and I recorded the December Lucky Stars yesterday. So it's in the can. So you guys will have it. And all of you who are in Lucky Stars, you should have November. You should have had that 2 weeks ago. So, hey, Kimberly, good to have you here. Lisa, okay, she was checking in. And let's see, Mary Ross is in here. There's Mary. Good evening, Mary. Good to see you always. And one of our faithful, everyday Fun Astrology podcast listeners from the UK, misbehaving. Love it. And boy, is she ever. She has, let's see here, Kristen, you might want to get with her on this. I have an exhibition starting 11 November. I should have been installing today, but there's been a day delay with previous artists, and I only have Friday. Well, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. That's kind of part of what we're going to be talking about tonight is how do we navigate. Yay. Oh, you were. Yes, I saw your note there that you were not going to be able to, but you are. So I'm glad. Good, Brenda. Glad to have you. Oh yeah, Kristen's wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to Kristen. Y'all make her feel special in the chat there. That would be awesome. 14 years, 16, 14. What was it, Kristen? Help me out. I've slept since then. Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate it. Kristen's going to pop in here in just a second. Yeah, you guys make her feel special. Okay, so we're going to talk about how we frame up our own selves for this week. And 6 years married, 9 together. Okay, there you go. Good, thank you for that. I wasn't even close. I wasn't right. No. It doesn't work very well. Hey, there's Michelle. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I think first time, right? Is this your first time? I think it is. That's great. Love it. Love you guys. Love that you guys are here. I drew an amazing card tonight and on this theme because obviously, whether you're in the United States or not. Oh, there's Nancy. Hey, Nancy. Glad to see you in tonight. Thanks for joining us. Whether you're in the United States or not, you kind of have to live through this like the rest of us do, don't you? It's like it's loud, it's everywhere, it's is a big deal, and we have to get this over with. And who knows what's going to happen. So I just thought there's a high timeline side and there's a low timeline side to everything. Hey, Diane, good to see you in tonight. Welcome. There's a high timeline and then we can take a low timeline side to basically everything. So Why not take the high timeline side? I mean, that's kind of what we do, and that's what we try to find in every situation. Even though, like, sometimes we might not get there initially, we try to eventually get there, and that's good. So, with this thing coming up on Tuesday, and just so much uncertainty and everything around it, I just thought, well, let's take a look at how we feel and just be really open and honest and reflective and share some stuff here. I was hoping that maybe we could have a little bit more chat around this. Typically not really what we do here, but it is, because I think there's tremendous opportunity within this. And I did my cards tonight the way I do them every time. I shuffle them 3 times, I cut them 3 times, and then I spread them out on the floor. And I usually kind of run my hands over and close my eyes and feel. But this time I was looking over the deck, and one card just, whoops. The 4 of Cups. And doesn't that look like about how you might feel about what's coming up this week? I was like, wow. So let me get the book here and read this to you. On the high side, on the light seeker side, missing opportunities for abundance, a time to meditate, frustration and boredom. These are the positives. I asked for a card for the United States and for this election. Frustration and boredom. Being a brat. Not appreciating what you have. Apathy. Introspection. Stability leading to boredom. On the negative side, focusing on the negative. Pessimism. A time to practice gratitude. A gentle nudge to stop complaining. Oh boy, let me read those shadows again. Focusing on the negative. Pessimism. A time to practice gratitude. A gentle nudge to stop complaining. I looked up at the sky and I said, thank you. It just never ceases to amaze me how this deck is so in tune with the topics that we do here on Sunday night. It's just so beautiful. This is so poignant to this. If you are finding yourself bored, unsatisfied, or frustrated with your current situation, know that you are likely missing the vibrant landscapes that are present just beyond your peripheral vision. Often we become focused on our own internal perspectives, that our feelings about a situation can prevent us from noticing the arrival of extraordinary opportunities and remarkable things. If you remain open to shifting ever so slightly in order to see your situation in a fantastic new light, you will learn that the present moment is filled with the most dynamic magic. Instead of focusing on what you don't have right now, focus on what you do have. Even better, spend energy focusing your thoughts on the experiences that you will create in the future. Taking time to meditate and slow your mind will show you that life is better than it seems. It's up to you to shift into the abundance available to you right now. And the quote, I see the fullness of richness in my life. Wow. How cool is that? That was like, oh, yes. Isn't it, Heather? It is so relative. So as I was thinking about this, and I put this up. Oh, Diane, let me show you. It's called, sorry, get that. Hang on just a second. It's called the Light Seers deck right there. It's available on an Amazon near you. and probably in some bookstores locally if you have one. But yeah, the Light Seers deck by Chris Ann. It's phenomenal. It just every time it just so is on point. It absolutely is. So I just put up some images, and you think about what's going on right now is unprecedented. I mean, I just turned 65 the other day. I've never seen anything like this. And whether you live here or not, whether you live in the United States or not, it has been a symbol of freedom. So many people have come here for an opportunity. People would swim across uncertain waters to get to these shores for a chance to have the freedom that they don't have in their own countries. It's represented religious freedom, spiritual freedom, the ability to worship and believe and say whatever you want. Not without its flaws, obviously. And we don't do this a lot on here on Sunday nights, but I wanted to put a chart up and just show you a couple of things from the United States chart as we approach this very important juncture. And with all of those good things that the United States has represented over the years. For those of you looking, yes, the circle with the dot in the middle is the sun, and it is in the sign of Cancer when the United States was born in July of 1776. But that circle up there is Neptune. And Neptune represents lies and deceptions of one thing on the shadow side. It represents spirituality. And certainly this has been a place of spiritual freedom. And I know we can granularize all this stuff. I'm just hitting some high points here. But one of the things that I learned from Robert when I first started studying with him was this position of Neptune in the United States chart. And when we see all of the things going on, and as we see this week, there are going to be a lot of accusations back and forth, et cetera, that baked into the DNA of the United States is the shadow side of Neptune in a very prominent position in the chart of shining out deception. So keep that in mind, that baked in is the deception that we're seeing around us so much now. It's coming out, But there are so many ill motives and so many things now that this country represents, and I know it's all influenced by other things, but that is baked in. Now, another thing that you saw and heard mostly in 2022 was the Pluto return of the United States. Well, what is that? The outer wheel are the planets in the sky on election day. And I circled Pluto because it is sitting pretty close to its natal position. The inner wheel is where it was in 1776. The outer wheel is where it will be on Tuesday, where it is now. It moves so slowly. That's where it is now. So that has never happened in our history or in the history of a major modern superpower. So we don't know. But we do know what Pluto does. It tears down and rebuilds for the purpose of transformation to higher ground. Well, that was exact in 2022, but it will be with us until, I looked at it through 2028, let's say, that it will still be very strong. So we're in it, and we haven't experienced it yet, so we don't know. That's a card file unknown at this point. And then there's one other that I wanted to point out, and this gets a little deeper into astrology, but this is a different kind of chart. What it shows is that what's circled there on the inner chart, the red symbol that looks like the male is Mars, and the one next to it there is Saturn. And this is in a much slower moving perspective that happens only once, basically, in a lifetime. And this is a symbolism of division, conflict, and even war. Certainly things being held back. And all of that is present in the chart right now. So with that in mind, when we approach this week, I thought, how can we then not participate in all the angst? What can we do to be on our highest timeline? What can we do to let all of this happen around us, but not within us? To not get all sucked up in it. Whatever happens, and I know, whatever happens, the way this election has worked out is a lot of people are going to be not happy one way or the other. So how do we just not participate in this? And yet at the same time, I want to very much respect everybody's emotions around this, that this is a charged area for sure. And people are passionate about this. And they feel very strongly about which way this goes and how that's going to roll out over the next years ahead. And what we also believe is that we are not controlled, as the card said, by outside activities that are not part of our inner being. In other words, we control our own reality. And we will through this. So yes, there are emotions around it, and they are very strong. And there will be more emotions coming up this week. But for us, I think some of the keys are, number one, to not attach to an outcome. And that's hard to do with this. But if we can stay, and I'm not talking about apathetically neutral. I know a lot of people are supporting their person, but the other thing is to realize, and this is so key for life, it's not who wins this thing is not going to control your life for the next 4 years. It might control some of the environment. It certainly would control the news cycle, but you don't have to watch the news. You from your innermost being and your perspective controls the drumbeat of you, regardless of what's around you. And that shows up in so many different ways and areas. And I got to tell you that I've been reflecting on a lot of my own past and how I got to where I am now here and what it's been like here the last 7 or so months. And I made a list of things. In fact, I left my journal in the other room. I was going to share some of them with you. But just so many good things that have happened in these past months and years in my own life. And as I made the list, I was nothing but grateful. And I think that sets the stage and sets the tone for how we approach this week, is the gratitude for everything good that it has stood for, the good that it has represented, the good that we have in our lives. Again, whether you're in this country or not, the ripple effect of the good that you've had from it. And be grateful for that in spite of all the challenges. And yes, they are significant and there are many. But let's focus. Where do we focus? What we focus on expands. So we focus on the good. And with not attaching to an outcome, think about what level of energy or vibration are you approaching this upcoming event with or from? And boy, this has been so key in my own life and in my own environment over the recent past is energy, our vibration, how we project out, and what level of energy on that scale that Fred Dodson wrote about in Levels of Energy. And I got to narrate the audiobook and learn so much from it, and so much about it, that I think is one of the main keys of our response, our existence, and the ground that we end up standing on and from is based on what level of energy we are coming from at any given time. It shouldn't take a 400-page book to explain that love is a higher emotion than anger, or that peace is a higher emotion than fear, or that gratitude is a higher emotion than complaining, and everyone else in between. And so many times we get caught up in things in our life that bring us down. And the whole idea of the scale and the whole idea of that book and the whole idea of the concept of living a life that is driven and flowed from energy is to be able to quickly catch the times that we are pulling down so that we can lift ourselves back up. And you go, wait a minute, I'm operating totally from fear here. I'm coming from a perspective that if this person wins, this person loses, my whole life is going to be affected. It only will be affected if you allow it to be affected. Because if you come back up to the perspective of high energy, love, peace, gratitude for what we have, serenity, calmness, trust in something far greater than a politician or a system, a political system, or a country. That's what I say is whatever happens this week doesn't matter. If you live outside the United States and are watching this from over there, this is the way we live the high timeline path all the time in any situation. And yet, very quickly, the things around us can pull us down. Happens to every one of us all the time. That's the journey. That's the path. The other point was set your mind on prosperity. And that's why I started us off with tonight, an old one from Catherine Ponder, let there be peace within my walls and prosperity within my palaces. So if we focus on peace and prosperity throughout this process, then that's, as we watch everything unfold around us, hopefully that's what we will experience for ourselves. And then the last one I thought is also relevant and good, and is a great way to, when we find ourselves in our own selves, is to escape that by focusing on service to others. This got really real with the situation that happened in my family in March and everything that's unfolded since. And as I went back and looked at the criteria in the Bible for people would come to Jesus and say, how do I inherit eternal life? Heard you talking about it. How do I get it? And there were two things that I see in the New Testament, two keys of how he answered that question, how that question was responded to. One is you have to have a spiritual path. You have to have a spiritual connection. That which is born of the flesh is flesh. That's which is born of the spirit is spirit. It's an old translation, or probably where he figured it out and twisted the words around. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings trying to figure out a human experience. And that's what Jesus was saying. You've got to connect with your spiritual side. You're a spiritual being. But if you're not born into that, you're just a flesh being, and that's all you have to work with. So you don't get the eternal perspective in the flesh. It only comes from the spirit. You have to have that. And then the second was service to others. He told a story about a traveler who was had been beaten up by robbers and was laying on the side of the road, and how the religious leaders walked around him on their path on that road because they didn't have time to mess with him. But one of the lowly Samaritans, one of the despised, talk about racism back in the day, boy, that there was racism, the Jew versus the Samaritan. I mean, they hated each other. And the Samaritan sees this Jew lying in the ditch and goes over and picks him up, takes him to the inn that's up the way on the road, and pays for his stay, tells the innkeeper to take care of him, and if there's any additional bill, he'll pay it when he comes back through. He cared for the man. He took time out of his trip to mess with him, to help him. I have a lifelong friend who made bad decisions and is doing some time in an Oklahoma prison right now. And as he has settled into the next several years that he will be there, I have taken it upon myself to do the same. So I got set up where I can send him some money, and we talk on the phone. We talked this afternoon. We can now, they have a system where you can email and text back and forth periodically. So I thought, if not me, who? And rather than judge for what he did wrong, to love him as a lifelong friend. And his parents and my parents were best friends all through our growing up. And why not honor that by making myself a little vulnerable? But I feel like I'm doing what Jesus said to have salvation. You know, putting others before ourselves is a great perspective. And we can do that here too. So as we see people who are upset and unstable, that get rocked off their center because their candidate lost, we can hold to these ideas of love higher than fear. And don't succumb to it. Don't be one of those ones that says the sky is going to fall if X doesn't win, or because X didn't win. Let's just stay to our own. And yes, you can have your preference and you can have your position and you can have your angst that like, oh man, it is going to be a long ride if X doesn't win. And yet, when you think that, just come back to that you're not here to succumb to a political system that has corruption baked into it. So don't go there. Rise above it. Be one who stands for the good that this flag has represented all through these last centuries. And be one who will stand up with others and support them when they feel like they're lying in the ditch and have been beaten up by the system. If that Samaritan wasn't healthy himself, he couldn't have helped the one lying in the ditch, right? So let's be the ones that can help. Let's be the ones that can do that kind of good work. So let's do a little meditation tonight to set ourselves up for success this week. What do you say? And a good perspective. I think I'll go back and put, how about if we do this one? Let's put this up as we just focus our thoughts for a couple of minutes here on how we are going to approach this. And as we settle in, let's just do an Om together to bring our vibrational alignment to the higher pitch of the universe. Let's do 3. Let's do 3. If you're in a position, a place where you can do an Om out loud, why, let's do it together. Do a big exhale. Just let out all the think of love. Focus your attention on love and feel love inside. Feel it in you and then radiating out from you. Now, just for a minute, go with me here. Think of fear. Think of being afraid. Kind of hard to do, isn't it? But just think about, oh no, what if? Will we be okay? And I get it. I'm not being disrespectful to how you think the country should be run. I'm just saying, feel the difference of what drives you from inside. Which would you rather hang out with? Go back to love. Love your life. Love your town. Love your home, your house, your apartment, your dwelling. Love your country, warts and all. It's given you the ability to earn a living, raise a family, do what you do. In spite of what else it may have. And think about where your focus should be over the next few days. Think of peace. Feel peace for a minute. Just feel peaceful where you are. Feel content. Feel solid, grounded, centered. These are high vibes. We won't look at the offset, but just think in your mind of the contrast of that to anger, aggression, violence. You get the picture. Stay up with peace. Just stay with peace. Hold for peace. So if the outcome makes you angry, snap back up to this. Here's your base up here. If the outcome makes you fearful, turn off the news, get that out of your head, and come back up here to this. This is your grounding. If you want to use a little NLP technique, you can think of love or peace or gratitude or grounding or centeredness or your heart chakra, and then say the web of skin between your thumb and forefinger, you can pinch that with your other hand and anchor that feeling in to your subconscious. So that this week, if you feel anything that knocks you off your feet a little bit, you can come back to that, pinch that skin, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and it's going to be okay. And you and I together are going to stay grounded, regardless. And then let's think of the highest timeline perspective that we can, and that is serving others. And you may not have an immediate place of service, or there may not be an immediate need for service in front of you where you can give right away. That's okay. Here am I, Lord, send me. Or as how Brenda wrote a few minutes ago, if not me, then who? Who will go? I'm available, Lord. And then watch out, because you'll probably get tapped. When you do that, it seems like the energy of your availability finds itself to the right place. As you look at that map and you look at that flag, does this help frame it up a little differently? Does it seem less divided? Does it seem like there's hope? Been thinking for quite a while. What if a country, what if a world could operate from that kind of perspective? What kind of a place would it be? What would it be like to literally not have locks on doors or cars? Because you didn't need them. Because no high vibe being is going to steal your car or break into your house or threaten your person or cause a fight or stir things up online. What would it be like? Can you look at that map and say, may it be so one day? And then you can flip it around and see the positive that all that has represented over the years. And you can say, oh, we're so close. And it could be that. And you know what? It's not about the other guy starting to get us there. It's about you and me individually. That's how it happens. It has to come from our own self, our own inside, living that way. And hopefully the spark catches fire. It doesn't have to be the way it is now. Don't see it that way. So right now, whether you live here or not, would you look at the map, look at the flag, and whether that's your flag or a distant flag, it represents people and it represents a country. Would you send love to that image now and what it stands for? Send love to it the best way you can. Send peace to that flag and that country. Peace, my child, be still. Send compassion. To the people. And then, as we close, send an intention that one day it will be healed peacefully. And as you close with that intention, say, so it is. In other words, make it definitive. And so it is. It shall be. I truly believe, with everything that I have seen and studied and meditated on and everything else, I truly believe that we are on the cusp of a great spiritual awakening. You see seeds of it, you see it popping up here and there, but I really believe that this is going to catch fire and that the old perspective is going to fade away. We just wonder with how much resistance it will finally let go. But the thought here tonight is to not get caught up in the drama. I've shifted my schedule based on what happened tonight. It got dark at 5 o'clock. I've shifted my schedule. So when I sign off of here, I'm going to go get in bed. Like this dark at, dinner time depresses me. So I'm shifting and I wake up now between about 1 and 2 in the morning and I start, go up those stairs right there and start narrating and start getting my work done. And then by about noon, it's time to go outside and get some exercise. So it's a great new schedule. I actually really enjoy it. Not for everybody, but it works for me because I don't have to put up with all this dark. And then when I get up, it's dark. And that's nice when you get up and you have your, by the way, this right here is amazing. Lynn Schaefer sent me a birthday present. She said, all these years I've not had your address, but now I have your address. And she sent me some chai tea from a place called the Chai Box. They're out of Atlanta. This is the most amazing stuff. You mix it, it comes in brown bottles, and you mix it half and half with, I use almond milk, and heat it up, and oh my goodness, it is amazing. So you can have your chai tea or your coffee in the morning when it's dark. I mean, it's just meditative to get up in the morning and go in there and sit down with a cup of coffee and start writing in the journal, and getting thoughts together. And I make notes on a to-do list, and just, it's so energizing. Great way to start the day. And then go upstairs because it's dark. I mean, what else are you going to do? Get some work done. And then by the time I come back down, well, now sun's coming up. Oh, great. So I've shifted to do that. And so election night, I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. And whatever happens over the course of the evening, it will happen without me. So I'm just taking this neutral position that it is all going to be well. It is well with my soul. Either way, I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to stay on my path. And whoever occupies the news cycle for the next 4 years is not something that I'm going to be terribly caught up in. So I hope this helps for you guys. I really do. Thank you for staying with us. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. We're going to keep on going. Kristen, I know we'll do one of these at some point, but she's got 2 astrology courses going on right now. And I thought, well, okay, she told me that the other day, and I'm like, well, I can carry this through November. So we'll be here all the way through, and looking forward to spending the time with you. So stay the course. Whatever happens this week, just stay the course. We're going to be okay. All right. Let's keep focusing on that spiritual awakening ahead of us. And if you need to, you can go to the Light Seers deck, has a website, and you can look up the 4 of Cups and you can read this card again and again. It was so relevant and so perfect for this situation. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the podcasts and then back again here next Sunday night. Sending love. High vibes. Keep that energy high. Bye-bye.